confessed your sexual sin, and I hope you're just feeling really clean and free from all those things that have put a barrier between you and your wife. But now we want to have a look at building our sexual intimacy from here.
Yeah.
So Jane, how can we do this? How can we build our sexual intimacy from having repented and feeling clean again?
Well, we really need to go back to our last lesson, and that is we need to invest. And it does take conscious effort. It's not just a spontaneous thing. And I think the thing that men suffer from more than anything else is that they need to recognise that the needs of a woman are very, very different from the needs of a man. So I think the most important thing, if you're going to look at the needs of a woman, is that really is the whole atmosphere in the household all the time that is going to make a difference to your sexual intimacy. If you get angry with your wife and treat her badly, she's not going to want to feel like being sexually intimate with you, because it just says to her, I don't love you. So a man needs to be conscious all the time that if he is looking to have a sexual intercourse with his wife, that he needs to think about the atmosphere that he's creating in the home.
So really, sexual intimacy begins at breakfast almost.
It does begin at breakfast, and it continues throughout the day. So that's why in that last lesson of sowing and reaping, we got you to look at the love languages and really consider, what is your wife's love language? How can I invest into her emotional area, so that she feels like that you love her on an ongoing basis. Now, the next thing is that, and this is a really big problem, I think, when you have a lot of young children in the house, women really need privacy and an atmosphere of being separate from other things in the household.
Safe, I guess.
Yeah, a safe environment. They want to have an environment where they know the bedroom door is closed, or even better, a weekend away is even better, because then you don't have to worry about the children bursting in. So yes, when you first married and there's no children in the house, maybe there's a lot of options that you could pursue with one another, which might work quite nicely. But remember, your wife does need to feel that she has a private, intimate zone. And a wife is very sensitive to natural atmospheres too. So nice, lovely smells and candles and soft lighting and music, all of these things help a wife get into the mood. They really, so, if you've come home really hot and sweaty from work,
Have a shower.
Have a shower, that's right. Wear some nice aftershave or something, and
Clean your teeth.
And clean your teeth, yes. Don't just think that your wife is attracted to that messy man, because really she's not. And the other, I think the really, really big difference between men and women is that a man is aroused sexually very quickly just by sight. Just taking your clothes off is enough for a man, but that does not work with a woman. We really, really do need to have an investment in the pre-sexual act. That is things like giving your wife a back rub, rubbing her feet, maybe speaking sweet nothings in her ear, maybe kissing her and stroking her and investigating the things that she might like that make her feel loved and appreciated and enjoyed. And later on in the interactive, we're going to get you to actually do that and talk with each other about what those things might be that really make her feel good. But one thing is for sure, don't rush it. Women really hate being rushed. They really, really, really need to get into the mood. Now, there's another thing you need to recognise about a wife, and that is that we do have hormones, and that women have certain sexual peaks of arousal, and there is a certain time of a month when a woman will feel more easily sexually aroused compared with other times. So in those times that are other times, you may have to be a lot more sensitive and a lot more careful. And my advice would be communicate. I mean, Ian and I just used to think we knew what the other person wanted. We never communicated, did we?
We never talked about it, really. We just assumed.
Yeah, and assumption, and especially if you have watched pornography and even movies these days, they're almost pornographic in many ways. They show that sexual intimacy is just that, yes, everyone's ready, they just jump into bed and everyone's enjoying it, but that is not true. And Ian's really looking to invest in my needs sexually, and he really puts a lot of effort in it. It really makes me feel loved, and it also makes me enjoy the whole experience a lot more. And so when I enjoy that experience a lot more, I really feel like having sexual intimacy more often with Ian, because it makes me feel loved, and I really find the rewards in it. So husbands, just letting you know, it's worth putting in the effort to get to know what your wife likes and what she doesn't, to make her feel loved, and so that she feels like she wants to respond to your sexual advances more often. Ian, what about a man's needs? You know, I've talked about what women want. What do men want?
Well, I guess to start with, men want to know that they're loved by their wives, and for a man, really, his wife making love to him is showing that she loves him. You know,
It's that critical.
It's that critical, and so if you're not making love to your husband, he's going to feel unloved, and I guess there are times when you think, wow, she has time for the children, she has time for work, she has time for this and time for that, but when it comes to making love, there's no time, and you think, well, she just doesn't love me. And I guess a man can be tempted by the enemy then to go out and find love in other places.
Yes, can I just say something there? If you're in that situation, as a man, you need to say, well, how can I do things for my wife that will give her the space? Because in actual fact, that is a really real problem.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Time is the problem.
Yes.
And because women need that investment, this is where your solution really is: invest things in her that will give her the time.
Yeah. So really, it is about giving, not getting.
Yeah.
It sort of is both, because you really want to enjoy that sexual intimacy, but to enjoy that and to receive that, you have to give it.
Yeah.
And so for a man, even though he really enjoys that, he does need to make that that space for his wife, and to talk about these things.
Yeah.
As I say, talk about the things that you both enjoy.
Take her out for dinner.
Yeah.
Really good investment.
And then, you know, if you just, I know men get very quickly sexually aroused, as Jane said, and you can hop into bed and you can get it over with, so to speak, and say you've enjoyed it, but really you haven't. You come to the climax very quickly, but really the enjoyment isn't there.
Yeah.
It's far more enjoyable if you've had that intimacy throughout the day, and it ends with that sexual intimacy.
Yeah.
And when you take the time too, when it's not just over in 5 minutes or less, where you actually do, invest in your wife. You rub her back. You actually do the things that you know that she enjoys.
Yeah.
And talk about these things. That's what we're going to do in the next interactive, is get you to talk about this. But wives, find out what your husband really enjoys. There's some things you might be doing which he really hates, and which turns him off, which actually maybe brings pain, or even just hurts. Just doesn't do the thing that really is going to bring that intimacy.
Yeah.
So
I just want to say one more thing about women too. We don't stay the same over a whole lifetime.
No, that's true.
Obviously, when you're young, you have a lot of, time for one another, but you also have a very strong hormones raging in your body, and women just feel more like having sex when they're younger. Now, when you get children, and as you get older, your hormones change, and sometimes you get birthing injuries from having children, and certain things can be very painful. So this is not just a one conversation you need to have throughout your lifetime. You need to have an ongoing, continual conversation.
That's right.
Because things will change and things can be different. And even for men, their sexuality doesn't stay at the same level for their entire lifetime either, does it?
No.
And men too can have sexual health problems as they get older. Things don't always work so well. And so we also need, as women, to talk about these things with them and help them where we can.
And to
Yeah.
plan and to actually make
Yeah.
the time and space
And the effort.
to
Yeah.
invest in this
It
area.
is an investment.
Yeah, it's a great
And
investment.
it's a worthy investment because it really does bring this sense of love and unity and purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, as you get that investment and as you receive the intimacy and,
Yeah.
and enhance your intimacy with
Yeah.
each other, just also think about your intimacy with God, because in a future session we're going to be looking at that intimacy with God and how it will affect your
Yeah.
intimacy between one another.
Yeah.
And so if you have never found that intimacy with Father God, which can only, as we've said in previous sessions, be found through Jesus, then have a look at the extra video we've got at the end of this, which is sharing about how you can find that intimacy with God, not just in this life, but for eternal life.
Yes. And there's one more thing about that too. If we have that intimacy with God, we can go to Him and ask God to bless our sexual union. We can ask Him for ideas on how to invest.
That's
and,
right.
and we can bring Him into the bedroom. He's there anyway. But we can
He's not ashamed
He's
of it.
not ashamed.
No.
He was His gift to us.
Yeah.
And He's very, very concerned about this area of our life. So just like we can go to Him and ask questions about any area of our life, we can also go to Him and ask Him questions and get help from Him on how we can do this in a way that's going to bring Him glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this interactive, we're going to get you to ask the question of each other, what things do you and don't you enjoy in your sexual intimacy?
Yeah.
Talk about these things so that you can actually invest in the right areas.
Yeah.
And we'll see you again in the next lesson. Bless you. Bye.